Hey, it's me, Angela. It has been a few days since I have done an update, so it is time. I have just been so busy taking so many pictures, eating so many delicious things. So Prague, highly recommend. Come, okay? Not that you needed that close up. So I'm so glad that it was the middle of my trip for a few reasons. Number one, I have been fighting a cold. So I left Germany Tuesday. It is now Thursday. And I woke up with a sore throat, thinking, oh, I just was snoring, which was probably the case. But the sore throat didn't go away, and it was getting a little worse. And by that evening, I realized for sure I was getting a cold because I started having the sniffles. And then Wednesday morning, I was certain that I had a cold. But let's rewind for a second. The train ride was without a hitch, very comfortable. I again was traveling first class, and it was not the ordeal that it was going from Amsterdam to Hamburg. Excuse me. There was no connection, so that was a plus. And the service was good, and the seating was comfortable, and the Wi-Fi worked fine, and the countryside was beautiful. Again, coming from the Midwest, I wouldn't say there was a huge difference from the countryside, but it was really interesting, like going into every stop and you see like the village or the town that you're going through, and I did take a little bit of a nap, but I made a point to make sure I was awake to cross the border. There's nothing special about crossing the country border, but I just wanted to be awake for that. I guess to see if there was a difference between the last stop in Germany and the first stop in Czech. And I mean, there's a little bit of difference, but not a whole lot. Of course, I was just on the train. So yeah, train travel was great. I did actually end up having a snack on the train, and it was fine. There was nothing special about it, but it was decent. And the people were very nice. So I get to Prague, and I am greeted by MJ, the student that I had hosted, and his family is from just a couple hour drive outside of the city. So I didn't go there to visit them. They actually came in to the city, but that's a little bit later into the trip. So this is Tuesday evening. I'm arriving. It's like 5:30 that I got here, and it was a relief that I could take a break from thinking for a couple of reasons, because I developed a cold. So and by that point, honestly, I am tired at the end of every day trying to navigate and try to learn a few words like please, thank you, and just like take it all in, plus all just the physical exhaustion of walking everywhere. But it was a travel day, so not too bad. So MJ was my own personal tour guide of getting me where I needed to go, and I had booked a couple walking tours because I wasn't sure how available he would be, and I didn't want to put all the pressure on him. So then Tuesday night, he actually helped me get to where I needed to go, and then we walked around the area near where I was staying, and actually more area than I realized. And then we had dinner, and it was delicious, and it is like a true Czech dish. So it is cheese and a type of breading that's fried, and then this one was served with potatoes, and Czech beer is actually pretty good. It's pretty smooth, and so we had a beer, and that really hit the spot. Oh, it spoke to my soul. But if you're a vegetarian, there's no room for you in Prague. No, I'm just kidding. it's a very meat-based country. I'm not saying that Germany and Netherlands, aren't. But they're definitely, I've seen maybe one vegetarian specific place and one vegan specific place. And in Hamburg and Amsterdam, I saw lots of places that were those things, but not here. They like their meat. So had dinner, and I got back, and my place is very comfortable, which I will show you shortly. And then the next day, I got to sleep in a little bit because the tour wasn't until 11, but MJ came and got me and walked me to the drop-off. And, oh wait, no he didn't. Sorry. We'll rewind. He helped me figure out the night before where I needed to go. So I got up, took my time, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get a coffee, and I didn't because I enjoyed my sleep. Also, fighting a cold. So, this was the stop to fight a cold because MJ is going to school to be a doctor. So he actually brought me some things. So I go on the tour. And it's a walking tour of the castle, which when we think castle in the United States, we think like some regal place. I think because of London. And it's not what you think. It's like a lot of different buildings conjoin because they were built over time. And there's a wall, but it's not like some huge majestic building. And then when we think palace, we think, again, kind of like London. And there are different palaces within this castle because they were associated with different people. We have a cathedral. That's a big part of it. And so from a distance, you think this cathedral, that is the castle. It is not. And I will have a whole photo album. I took so many pictures while I was here. Way more pictures here than anywhere else. And I think it's just because I was like, wow, there's so many different styles of architecture. So if you want to go somewhere where you can really enjoy the architecture and just kind of like throw a dart on the menu at the food, you will probably like whatever is on the menu. Prague is a great place for you. So, and if you also like walking and hills and steps, also the place for you. I think my legs are going to be huge. So much climbing, basically. Okay, so, walking tour was great. Katja is the person I had in the morning for the castle tour. And a few other things. Her background's in architecture, so she pointed out all the different types of architecture and when they happened and who's responsible for this, and I'm not going to remember all that stuff. But something that's interesting is let me point out two things so that we don't go way over time. Number one, the cathedral. Okay. If you don't know who King Charles IV is, look him up because he is hugely important to Prague's history and like them booming during a time, because not only was he the king, he was also the emperor at that time and just all the things. Okay, so he brought a lot of things to the forefront during his reign. So he wants this cathedral built, and the first architect starts and several years into the project dies. And then the next architect is a young German, and he's going along with the project, and then after some time, he dies. And by that time, King Charles had also died. And apparently his son was a drunk and like moved Prague backwards. So that was not great. And at that time, they were moving away from Catholicism and to being more of a Protestant area. And so they just walled up what part of the cathedral was done. It wasn't done. And then many, 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 many years later, centuries even, they decide to finish the cathedral, and they start working on the cathedral, and they take the wall down, and at the front there's this very modern depiction of the architects that were responsible for the new part of the cathedral, and they're wearing suits, so it's very obvious. So part of the cathedral is 600 years old, and part of it is 90 years old. Fascinating, right? Okay. Usually on this tour you would go into the cathedral, and then at the end, by that time you can get into the old part of the cathedral for no charge. But there was a funeral happening And the tour guide said it must have been a very significant person because not many things like that happen in the cathedral. And then tonight at dinner, MJ's dad had pointed out that it was someone that was like the voice of radio for quite some time for the Czech people. So significant of them ties to the time of communism and the people getting a voice and that kind of thing. So I didn't actually get to go into the cathedral, and then today we did so many other things. I didn't make it back, so I have to come back, right? Like there's lots of things that now I have to come back. The second interesting thing that really just stayed with me is when you go into the castle and you look at the buildings, you think they all look pretty fresh. And that's because during the time of Maria Theresa Habsburg, because the Habsburgs, they're Germans, and they reigned for quite some time. And anyways, Czech history is very interesting and somewhat complicated and not nearly as violent as many other European countries. So very cool to groom through and learn about. But so much like crossing over that I had a hard time keeping it all straight. But anyways, she decided that she didn't like all the different kinds of architecture. And so like a stucco facade was put over all of the buildings. And the way that you can tell if it was a building that had this facade on it is you can see the original windows. So some places look like they're double paned windows. They just have a thick wall, and they're not. That's the old structure underneath. And actually in some places you see windows that are kind of like this with the like half circle shape. I don't even know. And then the new window was rectangular in front of it. So very odd. And then the gargoyles on the cathedral are all different. They're all different creatures, and there's several buildings where the things depicted in certain places, they're all different. None of them are the same. So just the castle area alone, you could easily spend half your day. It was very cold yesterday. For here, they said it was quite warm, but as far as my trip has gone, it was the coldest day that I had experienced yet, which really wasn't that cold. It was like low 30s, and just kind of hazy, but not like moisture in the air or anything. Excuse me. So once that was done, MJ had found me, and then we went and got lunch nearby, and we had like, the only way that I can, I guess, relate it is it's like pot roast and then with mashed potatoes and peas and carrots. But it's better than our usual pot roast. Like the flavor is just really nice and rich, but not complicated. And that's what I have to say about Czech food, is it's simple but very rich flavors, so they don't overcomplicate it. Then I went to my next tour. MJ dropped me off, and this was Old Castle. So the original part of Prague, Praia 1. So there's like 4 districts, and if you're a tourist, stay in Praia 1 because that's where all the things are that you want to see. And if you see another number, you're not in the right place. Okay, there are 4 original like parts of Prague. There's Old Town, New Town, Castle Town, Lesser Town. I don't know why it's Lesser Town and not like More and Lesser Town. I don't know. And each one of those have their own city hall. And so there's a picture that I have where the original measurement system, which were elbows and palms, but they're not like a human elbow because tour guide went like showed her arm against it. But it's still on the original door. It's still an acting city hall. So there's like 4 of a lot of things because of the separate like little towns or districts, I should say, within the original Prague. Let's see. So lots of beautiful architecture, lots of different styles. I did not expect to see so many different styles, and just really, honestly, very interesting. And such amazing shape, because Prague wasn't involved in any serious wars. So the whole entire city is really beautifully preserved. And the only time that they ever suffered any kind of damage is because, well, we Americans accidentally dropped a bomb around Prague, and it was meant for Dresden, Germany. You know, that was a while ago, but we made a mistake. So aside from that, all of the buildings are in wonderful shape because they didn't suffer that kind of damage. So second tour was really all about Old Town and the Jewish Quarter, just slightly about the Jewish Quarter and Charles Bridge. So that was packed with information, and I didn't realize so many movies have been filmed in Prague, or like really cool action scenes. So Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, there's a scene that happens on Charles Bridge. There's a movie with Vin Diesel, I think it's XXX, that happens close to Powder Tower. Well, part of it. And then he magically ends up somewhere that's near the castle. Which isn't correct, of course, logistically. Or geographically. So lots of different scenes. And you can look it up, and then, you know, you go back, and I'm going to have to go back and, you know, look these scenes up on YouTube or on movies and be like, oh, I recognize that place. So that was a little bit longer of a tour, and it went into nearly the night. They even do a ghost tour, which I didn't do. So that was enjoyable, and then we had a break in the middle where the tour guide Nico pointed out a couple spots that we could get a snack and a coffee that he recommended. So I had a kolache, or as we would say, kolache. Not the same. I mean, not the same version. It was very good. So then MJ had picked me up at Charles Bridge, and then we went to get something to eat, and I can't remember the name, even though he's told me multiple times, but basically what it is a slice of bread. I guess for us it would be like Italian bread, like a baguette or something. So a slice of bread about like this, an oval, white bread. And then it has a type of potato salad, but not like how we think potato salad. So it's like minced potatoes and a type of mayo, but mayo in Europe is much different flavor. And every place that you go to get this, because this is like a very Czech dish, is slightly different. So we had them again today for lunch at a different place, and the flavor was different. And then you can get all kinds of different things, but typically they're all served, most of them are served with a small wedge of tomato and hard-boiled egg, and then like a little squirt of mayo, and then the other things. So the ones that we had was like a slice of ham and a slice of cheese, and the other one had salami, and super good. Oh. And they just really hit the spot. Sorry, I had to blow my nose for a second. So I had to pause. Sorry. Really good. And then we got a little trio of mini desserts because I just kept staring at them, and I knew that they weren't Czech desserts, but I was like, I'm really craving sugar. Like this whole trip, I feel like. Desserts? How many? So we had that, and then we did a little more walking, and he dropped me off. And then this morning I did laundry, which that was its own experience. So now I have clean clothes. I was literally wearing the last set of clean clothes I had left. I had just this sweater left that I wanted to save for dinner tonight, and my nice dress that I'm wearing for something else, and I guess a sweater dress I had only worn for a short time. I did not wash that. But all of my other clothes, everything else, I had gone through already. I have done so much walking in Prague. I have changed my shirt a couple of times just from all the walking, and then I get like self-conscious about sweating, and anyways, doesn't matter. You don't even know about that. So he dropped me off last night, and then I just basically burrowed and made a nest in my bed because it really wasn't that late, and just kept blowing my nose. And this sweet kid actually got me medicine in the morning, and when he picked me up from the first tour, he gave me the medicine. So I had throat lozenges and a spray for my throat, and some like stronger medicine to take. And I took that last night, and then this morning I felt pretty good, and all throughout the day, and just now have I started getting kind of sniffly, so I need to take something else. So whatever he gave me has been working well, because I feel a lot better than I did last night. So then this morning I did my laundry, and he came and got me. And then again today we had the slices of bread with the meat and the cheese. But then we also had fried cauliflower, fried mushrooms, and it's, I guess we would call it a potato pancake, but it's finely sliced potatoes, think like hash browns, but perhaps slightly thinner, and in this shape, although you can get them in different sizes, and then flattened, and it's fried. Very, very good. Oh, it hit the spot. And then, yeah, that's what we had for lunch. And we walked around, and we went through this park where you could go to like a mini Eiffel Tower. Well, the lift was closed, the elevator. And that's fine. We were going to walk to the top. We had already spent some time walking through part of Castletown, just like on the edge. And so I was able to get some fresh pictures in the sunlight of some of the places that I went to yesterday. So I don't know if I'll post all the pictures I took or just the best ones. We'll see. Anyway, so we walk up this big hill, and it's through a park, like an orchard. So yesterday I learned that when there's fruit on the trees, they're open to the public, and people can just come and pick whatever they want, plums, pears, apples, and just enjoy the fruit, and it's just available to whoever. So we're basically walking through the park and the orchards, and we get to the top of the hill, and then there's this little mini Eiffel Tower, and it's a great place to get a good view of the city. So we get up to the halfway point, and so my legs are going to be firm, I hope. And I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. And then we get up to the very top, and I'm able to get some great pictures. And MJ pointed out all of these places that I had already been, and some places we were going, and like where he goes to school, and where he has lived, where he lives now, where his dad works, and we could see it all from this point of view. And I couldn't believe how much ground I have covered while I've been here. I kind of wish I would have invested in a step tracker of some kind before I came, just to show like the pure mileage that I have covered with my little feet. Aside from just the amount of ground I've covered in travel, like flying in and then train to city to city. So yeah, I can't believe how much area, because the thing about Prague is you have a lot of streets that kind of like wind around, and the very old part of Prague. And you experience that in the US and some of the older cities, that they don't really have a rhyme or rhythm. And it gets complicated. But I kind of just enjoy walking around and just taking it all in. So it has been nice not having to navigate, because I just follow MJ around and just really taking it in. But at the same time, I think I would have had a hard time navigating, just because I haven't really been able to interpret what anything means without MJ's help. A few things, but not a lot. So I'm very grateful. I think I would have had a hard time being completely on my own. So then we came back down to the area where I'm staying, and we met up with his mom and had a glass of wine. So I had some Czech wine and it was pretty good. I don't like wine that much, but it was pretty smooth and light. And then a coffee, and we waited for his twin sister to arrive. And then we went to this place called Cantina. You have to go. If you're in Prague, this is the place to go, okay? If you get anything from this whole video, it is go to Cantina. So it's very, very close to where I've been staying. And the thing about it is it's simple. Simple in the sense that it's not overcomplicated with like robust sauces and sides, and there's not really a menu. So there's no reservations, and it is tough to find a place to sit. It is very popular, and the beer is good and the food is good, but it is all about meat. Okay, that was a weird way to do it, but meat. Meat. Okay. So you come in, hopefully you can find a spot to sit, a place to sit. And the thing that they do around here is you get like this little ticket thing, and that's how they mark your drinks and what you've ate. And then when you leave, you give them the ticket. So you have to have a ticket to come in and be served, and you have to have a ticket to leave and pay. Okay. And it's kind of a handy way to go about doing things. Anyways, so there's two ways that you can go and get your food. One is it's already these prepared meats, and you've got like roast beef and ribs and slow cooked meat and flank and just things that they can slice up for you and serve. And then they have two sides, mixed vegetables and potatoes. Aside from that, there's not really anything else. It's really all about the meat. And they weigh it, so what you pay is in weight. And then their second option is you can actually go to this like refrigerated section that they have, kind of like a deli, I don't know what you call it, like a deli fridge, and you can actually hand pick the piece of meat that you want cooked up. So steaks, and then they have hamburgers, but not the kind of hamburger we're thinking. It's much different. As far as like it is a patty, same, but the way that it is flavored, different, and not necessarily a bunch of sauces or anything on it. It's about things that really are good with the meat. So you can pick whatever you want, different kinds of steaks, liver, hamburger, whatever, and then they'll cook it up and they bring it to your table. So the beer is good and the food is wonderful. And then we have this delicious dessert, and it's like a vanilla rum cream with these like puffy pastries in there. It was so stinking good. And I was still kind of full from lunch, even after all the walking. And I wish I wouldn't have been, because everything was so delicious tonight. And MJ's family is wonderful. It was a great time. And then the evening closed, and I left, and now here I am talking to all of you. So I am not even giving you all of the information that I've learned in the last couple of days about Prague. And it's really, the people even know that their history really well, which is fascinating to me. Because I would hear something from like MJ and the one tour guide and the other tour guide and somebody else I'd like run into, and yeah, it was wonderful. So let me show you where I've been staying real quick. Let me actually say for a moment, when it comes to the Czech language, because MJ's sister had asked me, what do you think about the Czech language? And honestly, if Italian and Russian came together and had a baby, that's how I hear Czech. It's actually much more romantic than I imagined it would be, if you just have an open mind about it. So keep in mind that I went from Dutch to German to Czech, and I don't think it sounds very harsh. It's the way that it's written is very unique. They actually have a letter that's very unique to only the Czech language, and it's an R with like a caret above it. It's a very specific sound that I am not at all good at relaying whatsoever. And Czech is very difficult to learn. Even the tour guides told us that it's very difficult. It's one of the hardest languages to learn. And you can actually come to Prague and go to university, go to college, free of charge. The only stipulation is that you speak fluently and can study in Czech or Slovakian. That's it. That's all you have to do is just learn Czech. Yeah, it's tough. I've had a very difficult time, but honestly, it's very beautiful to me. And I've really enjoyed just checking out the signs and how things are written. And I think I've asked MJ to say a million things. How do you say this? How do you say that? How do you read this? How do you do that? Because I just love hearing it. It's been great. And then listening to him talk with his family, I was just like, I don't know what they're saying, but it sounds awesome. Okay, tour. So I'm not staying in a hotel. I decided to stay in an Airbnb. So I'm actually in the kitchen, and it feels weird that I have this reflection. But in the morning with the daylight, this place is beautiful. So had I not been stuffed with food from MJ, I could have cooked something, and that was kind of like my whole thought was if he had been more preoccupied. But luckily things worked out that he was able to be like an unpaid tour guide. This great little table here, and this room actually is pretty cool, and the kitchen is separated with this curtain here, so but it actually, this side has been so warm. So just like in other places that I've been staying at, you have this type of heating system. I haven't had to turn it on except for last night when I was not feeling well and I was super cold, just from being outside all day and not feeling well. So this nice little seating area, and then this is like a Murphy bed, but honestly it's been very comfortable, and I'm sorry you're seeing it being a mess. But the thing about here and like the other places I've stayed is you have duvets. And I've laid them out kind of as I would at home, sorry. So you have duvets, and there's like one for each person, so kind of one for each person. The way that it's folded up is like one is folded up on one half and the other is folded up on the other half, as if there were two people. And twin beds would be like that. It was like that in Germany too. But so you stay very warm at night when you're sleeping because they're heavier than they look. And then I actually had some great storage here that I've left open because I have all my now clean clothes in there that I need to pack. And then the bathroom. So I have this nice wide shower, so I've had like actual space. The only thing is I didn't have a lot of counter space, and that's okay. This is something I love. I'm kind of hoping I can talk my husband into one day having a towel warmer. Is that a little too... I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I'm talking to all of you about it. Is that too extra? I don't know. But this is kind of a nice thing to enjoy and disregard the fact that I have clothes hung up here. So this is something that I actually had brought with me in case I had to hand do any laundry, and I knew I was going to have to at least hang a swimming suit when I go to the thermal baths in Budapest. But also, if you didn't catch, that's something a little extra. It's a bidet. If you didn't catch that, it's a bidet. So, yeah, this is where I've been staying. This is the most space I have had so far because I have been in small, like, living quarters up to this point. And the thing about here, and it's a nice apartment on a nice street, this door is intense. It's like a 5-lock system, so I have to like turn it multiple times for each lock to unlock or relock. And then there's a secondary door. that I go through to unlock to come in. And then I also have another key for the door downstairs. So I'm just going to quietly just show you here because it echoes. But I also want to show you the beautiful stairwell because this is an old building. So here we go. So I'm going to be quiet because this space is, it's like a wing, I guess. It's shared with another apartment. So, okay, now you're seeing. Okay. Can you see that? I feel very secure. Okay. That's the other apartment, and then this door. It smells really good right now. Pretty cool, right? The only thing is when I close that outer door, you kind of have to slam it when you're leaving. And it echoes horribly. See, now I got... Okay. So that is Prague in a kind of lengthy nutshell, but I hadn't done another update. So I hope you enjoyed. I apologize, it's not as much history as the others because there was so much. I hope you follow me on Facebook so that you can enjoy all the pictures because I will have a massive photo dump to upload. But next stop is Budapest tomorrow. Yay! And I still have 12 more days, so it's a little exciting. Well, technically 11. The 12th day is traveling back home, but all right. Thanks for truffling along with me. And dziękuję, so that's thank you in Czech. I at least have learned that. And prosím, so please enjoy, and we'll see you for the next one. All right, bye.